Unit 4 Tales of Unexpected. Hi students. Hi students, it's nice to see you today. Unit 4 Tales of Unexpected. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at the topic Tales and Stories. The aim of the lesson to develop language, communicative and cultural competences, critical thinking and creativity, to enlarge vocabulary related to the topic tales and stories, to improve speaking and writing skills. Plan of the lesson to identify definitions of the term a tale and a story, to keep key features of a tale and a story, to define the difference between tales and stories, to consider types of tales and stories, to explain the use of narrative tenses. Students, what comes to your mind whenever you hear the word tale? Can you give a definition of the word story? What is a tale? A tale is a story, often imagination or fictional, that is told to entertain, teach a lesson, or pass down tradition. What is a story? Who can answer to this question? Now, let's answer to this question. A story is a narrative, a way of telling what happened to someone or something, usually with a beginning, middle, and an end. Next, let's consider key features of the tale. A tale is a type of narrative or story often passed down through oral tradition. It typically contains imaginative elements and conveys a moral lesson or cultural value. Here are the key features of a tale. First, simple plot. What is it? Tales usually have straightforward storyline with a clear beginning, middle, and end, often focus on a single main conflict or quest. Yes. Second, characters. Characters are often flat or stereotypical. Example, the wicked stepmother and the brave hero. They may represent good or evil. Third, setting, often set in an unspecified time and place. Example, once upon a time, frequently features magical or fantastical location. For moral or lesson, many tales aim to teach a lesson or reinforce social values. Example, honestly, bravely, kindness. Supernatural or magical elements commonly includes talking animals, magic spells, and mythical creatures. 6. Repetition. Events, phrases, or numbers like 3 and 7 are often repeated for emphasize the rhythm. 7. Happy or poetic findings. Tales, especially fairy tales, often end with a good being rewarded and evil punished. Next, key features of a story. First, characters. The people, animals, or beings in a story usually includes a main character and sometimes an opponent. Characters often change or grow through the story. Second, setting the time and the place where the story happens helps create an atmosphere and context. Example, a dark forest at midnight. Third, plot. The sequence of events, what happens in the story, usually includes beginning, introduction, and characters and setting. Conflict, the main problem or challenge. Climax, turning point or most intense moment. Resolution, how the problem is solved. For conflict, the struggle or problems the main character faces can be internal with the character, example, fear, guilt. External, against another person, society, nature, etc. 5. Theme, the central message, idea, or lessons of the story. Example, themes, friendship, courage, justice, identity. 6. Narrative point of view. The perspective from which the story is told. First, I, third person, he, she, they, sometimes knowing narrator. 7. Structure, a clear beginning, middle, and end. Events are usually organized in chronological order, but some stories use flashbacks or other techniques. 8. Language and style. The author's choice of words, tone, and techniques like imaginary dialogue or figurative language helps create emotion and vividness. Next, slide 11, we can see a table, feature, tale, and story. The terms tale and story are often used interchangeably, but they have some key difference in the terms of structure, purpose, and style. Here is a clear comparison. While both tales and stories are forms of narrative, they differ in several key ways. A tale is usually a traditional or imaginative narrative passed down orally, often rooted in folklore. In contrast, a story is a broader term that can be either fictional or true and may be told in written or oral form from any culture or time period. Tales often follow a simple formulaic structure involving clear conflicts like good versus evil, magical events, or heroic guests, while stories can have a more complex structure with subplots, detailed settings, and a deep character development. The characters in tales are usually flat or symbolic, such as wicked witch or brave heroes, whereas stories tend to feature more realistic, multi-dimensional individuals. In terms style, tales are often magical, mythical, or exaggerated, while stories vary widely, ranging from realistic and emotional to symbolic or imaginative. Their purpose also differ. Tales aim to entertain, teach morals, or preserve cultural tradition, while stories may also inform, pursue, and explore broader human experience. Examples of tales include fairy tales, folk tales, legends, myths, and fables, while stories include novels, short stories, autobiographies, and historic fiction. There are many types of tales and stories, each with distinct features, styles, and purpose. Here is the breakdown of the main types of tales. First, fairy tale features magical creatures and events, often begin with once upon a time and ends happily. Example: Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Second, folk tale. Traditional story passed down orally, reflect cultural values and beliefs, can include legends, myths, and fables. Example: Anansi the Spider, African folk tale. Third, tall tale, exaggerated humorous stories about impossible events or characters, often based on real people or setting, but greatly exaggerated. For example, Paul Bunyan, Pecos Bill. 4. Myth explains natural phenomenal, gods or origin of the world, involves or supernatural forces. Example: Greek myths like the myth of Persephone. 5. Legend based on a real people or events, but include fictional or exaggerated elements, often heroic or inspirational. Example: Robin Hood, King Arthur. 6. Fable, very short tale that teaches a moral, usually features animals that talk and act like humans. Example: the tortoise and the hare types of stories. General First, short story. A brief narrative focused on a single event or character contains a complete plot in the short length. Example, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Second, novel. A long fictional narrative with complex characters and multiple plots explores themes in depth. Example, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Novella. A short than a novel, but longer than a short story. Focus on a single plot or conflict. Example, Animal Farm by George Orwell. Parable. A short, simple story that teaches a moral or spiritual lesson, often found in the religious text. Example, The Good Samaritan from the Bible. 5. Allegory. A short in which characters represent abstract ideas. Symbolic meaning is more important than the literal story. Example, The Allegory of a Cave by Plato. Let's turn to today's grammar material. Today's grammar topic is narrative tenses. Narrative tenses are verb tenses used when telling a story about the past. They help to show when events happened and in what order. First, past simple, used for the main events in the history, what happened. Example, she opens the door and walked inside. Second, past continuous, used for background actions or things happening at the same time. Example, it was raining while they were walking through the forest. Third, past perfect, used for actions that have happened before the main events, main past events. Example, she had already left when he arrived. 4. Past perfect continuous, less common but useful, used to show the duration of something that started early and continued up to the point in the past. Example, they had been waiting for you for an hour before the bus came. Quick summary table, tense structure examples. First, past simple, subject plus past verb, past and verb. She went home. Past continuous, subject plus was where, and plus verb ing. Past perfect, subject plus had plus past participle. Past perfect continuous, subject plus had been plus verb ing. Next, here are some insightful and inspiring quotations about tales and stories from writers' thinking and storytelling. These quotes highlight to the power, beauty, and meaning of the storytelling. Now, quotations about tales and stories. Please read these quotations at home very carefully and find which one is, in your opinion, is a good quotation or you agree. Write about it, and if you have your opinion or disagree with that, please write down and send it to your teacher. Next, questions. Now students answer to the questions about the topic tales and storytelling, relying on your knowledge and obtained today. First, what are the main features that make your tale different from other types of stories? Second, name 2 types of tales and briefly explain how they are different. Third, identify the correct narrative tense in this sentence and explain why it's used. She had already left when he arrived. 4. What are the key elements that every story should include to be completed and engaging? 5. Choose one quotation about tales or stories and explain what it means in your own words. Next, descriptive writing. There are 3 writing tasks about people. Choose one of them and write 250 word essay. First, describe a place you visited that left a strong impression on you. It could be a city, a village, or a natural landscape, or even a building. What made it specific or unforgettable? Second, imagine you are a journalist or a detective. You arrive at quiet town where something usually has happened. The streets are empty and the strange symbols appear on buildings. Investigate and describe the scene. Third, write a descriptive account on an event that changed your perspective and taught you an important lesson. This could be based on a real life or fictional. Research project. Here is a research project task focusing on a writing story. It includes a clear task description and 5 research questions to guide you through the planning and the research process. Now, a project title, Creating a Story, is researching of element of great storytelling. You are going to write your own original short story. Before writing, you will research what makes a good story by exploring story elements, narrative techniques, and example of successful short stories. Your goal is to understand the structure, characters and language used in the storytelling and apply that knowledge to your own creative writing. Research questions. First, what are the key elements of well-structured story? Example, plot, character, setting. Second, how do writers make the characters interesting and believable? Third, what types of conflict are commonly used in the short stories? How do authors use descriptive language and narrative tense to bring a short story to life? 5. What can I learn from reading and analyzing one short story from a famous author? Next, it's time to conclude the lesson. Definition of the terms tale and a story were identified. Key features of tale and a story were studied. Differences between tales and stories were defined. Types of tales and stories were considered. The use of narrative tense was explained. That is the end of our video lesson. I believe we will do the best and fulfill of the assignment given by this video lesson. Goodbye, students. See you next lesson.